what is up everyone? Back here with another video. Today we're going to be going over a team for Battle Tower. So you guys know that obviously in the Battle Tower, the objective is to kind of get as many wins as you can. And the best thing that you can get out of it is actually the overall BP, right? And BP allows you to get items for competitive and everything. So pretty much, it's a really I'd say optimal way to be getting points. So I'm gonna be talking about this team that I built for it. It's the best way to farm BP once you're able to get these resources in game. Um, the reason why it's so good is just because of the numerous options it has to really just beat the entire ladder, right? So obviously it is utilizing some mons that are a little bit tougher to get, but if you are able to access them, the rewards are very good, right? So you're able to utilize a lot of these mons to actually do something, and put substantial pressure on whatever lead you kind of deal with in the battle tower. I'm specifically talking about master class as well. This works into normal class as well, but obviously master class is the main one that you want to be focused dealing with, because of that's where all the BP is, right? So this team in particular is built very much around Garchomp being able to click Earthquake next to its partners and having some bulkier options with Intimidate and set up with Belly Drum, right? So this team is focused basically around taking advantage of the Battle Tower NPCs, having a little bit more gimmicky strats rather than consistent strategies. And you'll typically see this as you're getting up to the kind of last couple of ranks that they're pretty much leading stuff that is pretty vulnerable to like good synergy leads, and if you have enough options in the back, you're typically able to win. Obviously there's always a chance that you can get RNG'd out or whatever, but I feel like this team mitigates that to the most of its degree. So I'm going to be going through each individual mon and then be going through the partners as well, and talking about the common leads that you can utilize to win with this team. So first off, Rotom is Citrus Berry. It's pretty much designed to be able to set up Nasty Plot in front of opponents. You're pretty much able to freely set up Nasty Plot majority of the time next to Togekiss. Also, too, you can cycle in Intimidates with Arcanine, right? Which allows you to keep the Rotom pretty safe. So that's already a nice thing that you kind of have access to there, right? And then besides that, the water and electric coverage is really good into a lot of the battle tower because there are a lot of water mons and there are a lot of fire types. So you kind of have good coverage for both. The main thing that you have to be careful of with Rotom is it does get walled pretty hard by grass types, so you need to make sure that you have a good answer to that. But for the most part, Rotom's a straightforward option. I'd say it's more of like a bonus mon on this team because technically for Battle Tower, you only need 4 mons, right? And if that core is good enough, you can kind of spam that core instead of needing a team of 6. But this is just meant to give you options just in case you find that like you're struggling a little bit with something, and you can kind of mix it up. So next to talk about is Chrysalia. Chrysalia is running Leftovers. So Leftovers Chrysalia basically gives you a good way to get recovery consistently. So the reason why it's better than Berry is because Chrysalia is so bulky, it's usually not even taking that much damage from opponents' attacks. And Leftovers is consistent and recovery that never fades away, whereas like a Berry, you only use it once, right? So it can kind of let it play long con games, especially when you have a bunch of Calm Minds up on it. Basically, special moves are going to be doing nothing. You're going to be healing back more than you're losing. Cresselia is utilizing Psychic and Ice Beam. The reason why it's using Psychic and Ice Beam is because it has pretty much coverage for everything in the game. The only thing that you might struggle to hit are Dark types, but that's what the rest of the Pokemon on the team are for. And then you have Trick Room as well to reverse speed control if there's something like Tailwind that you're dealing with, or you need to reset Trick Room and they set up Trick Room and you want to kind of flip it back. Now, besides that, Cresselia is obviously a very bulky Calm Mind option. It can really put on pressure that way, so pretty straightforward, I'd say. Not too crazy of a mon there. Then we go to Arcanine. So Arcanine is running Safeguard. There is a lot of random status on the battle tower, so it is kind of important to have that status to protect yourself. If you want to prevent like random burns, random freezes, even from like Blizzard, or just random status that you don't like, Arcanine's the one to do it, right? And I think Arcanine is one of the mons that will always come on this team, regardless of what core you're going with. because of its option to set up Safeguard, Intimidate, and then it has Snarl to reduce damage, and obviously the fire coverage is invaluable when you need something to break steel types, right? So it's just incredibly useful, something that I think is pretty much one of the best mons on the team. Then we can continue. Togekiss. Togekiss, pretty straightforward. It's running Scope Lens, Air Slash, Dazzling Gleam, Follow Me, Protect. Pretty much this is just to give you the option to protect if there's something that's threatening the Togekiss immediately. You're able to go for Dazzling Gleam to go for crits next to Earthquake, next to Chomp. The main combination to blaze through Battle Tower is always going to be Togekiss, Garchomp. You can either go for Rock Slide, Air Slashes, or you can go for Earthquake, Dazzling Gleams, or Rock Slide, Dazzling Gleams. It's that combination that allows you to hit pretty much everything on the opponent's side that gives you a really substantial advantage. Then, so that's like the main focus of this whole team and the main core I would actually recommend bringing in. You'll see that in the comment pairs below, but we'll discuss that a little bit more. So Snorlax is a standard set. It's Body Slam. I would potentially consider changing this to Facade if you're getting it in game. High horsepower. The only reason why, by the way, the only reason why I don't have Facade is because technically I have Safeguards, so it's kind of weird because usually Facade would capitalize off of being status, but because you have the Safeguard, you're usually not getting burned too often, right? So kind of a weird situation there. High horsepower obviously lets you hit steel types, lets you hit fire types. It's just nice coverage for Lax. And then Belly Drum, which kind of lets you set up and be immediately a threat. And then Protect. The reason why I'm not running Recycle is because the berry recovery is less than it normally would be in like previous gens. So it's not that great. And Protect can really just get you free turns that you want. Pretty much everything on this team is Protect except for Chrysalia, because Chrysalia has natural bulk to compensate for the lack of Protect. And it just lets you kind of position around your opponents, make the team really annoying, have turns like recover or reposition without getting punished. And then we have Garchomp. Garchomp's running Yache Berry. On the battle tower, there is a lot of random ice moves, and you won't know about them. So Yache Berry is really good to protect yourself from that, so you don't just get KO'd by a random ice move on your Chomp. And you can sit there even in front of ice types with Togekiss and Garchomp and click something like Rock Slide and Dazzle or Rock Slide Air Slash. If you don't flinch, that's okay, because then you have the Yache, and then you can just get the KO next turn. So, yeah, that's like the main point of that. Also, Swords Dance gives you a good setup option. You can Swords Dance, then spam Earthquake next to all your Levitators, or like whatever you bring of the core 4. And then that's pretty much the main idea there. So now I'm going to be going over the two different cores you want and the leads and how they work with them. So pretty much you'll see in the first common pair, Arcane and Snorlax is a lead. I would say this is a lead that I would not default to with this team. This is only something that you maybe want to try depending on what you're running into, right? I always think the default lead, since it's always a bring 4 and you can't adjust until 7 battles are over, would be Garchomp and Togekiss, but these other pairs just give you other options if, like, for some reason the Garchomp Togekiss lead has been struggling, right? Arcanine Snorlax basically gives you a way to aggressively set up Belly Drum. You can turn 1 lead Arcanine Snorlax, swap out Arcanine into Chrysalia, and then go for a Belly Drum on the Lax. Next turn, Protect, Trick Room, then you have Trick Room up and you just sweep with plus 6 Lax. The Garchomp Togekiss lead is probably the safest lead. Typically, when you want to go with Garchomp Togekiss, it's pretty much going to be getting as much damage as possible. And it's probably the safest lead in Battle Tower because you're really rewarded for having immediate damage. Typically, in the back of this team, you'd want to have Garchomp Togekiss in the lead, and you want Arcanine and Chrysalia in the back. Chrysalia giving you the ability to reset Trick Room, set up Calm Mind, and then Arcanine giving you a way to damage reduction and gives you pivots into stuff like Abomasnow, which is on this battle tower, right? And you do have 2 Ice Weeks, so being able to pivot both slots to take the hit is really important. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Garchomp Togekiss pair. That's pretty much the main idea. Then Chrysalia Garchomp. This is a pretty safe lead. You're pretty much saying, I don't want to deal as much damage. However, I am going to be safer versus anything you can lead, right? Because you have the option of Trick Room, you have the option of Calm Mind Swords Dance, you can click Earthquake Attack, you can swap out Garchomp into Arcanine and Trick Room or Calm Mind. Like, you have a ton of options there, right? So pretty much this lead is just to give you the most security if you feel like you'd rather play it a little bit safer. But I do think that Garchomp and Togekiss still is fairly safe. It's just more aggressive. This lead is a little bit more passive, but it does have the bulk to compensate for that and kind of sit in front of anything you're dealing with, right? So kind of good there. And to touch on this team, This team actually isn't bad for VGC either. However, it is mostly focused towards Battle Tower because the AI and Battle Tower is obviously very different than a VGC match you might have. This is something that I think is okay for VGC because of all the options you have, but you might be better served by changing around some of the items. So, for example, I think Life Orb on Chomp might be better in a VGC scenario, and Dragon Claw over Swords Dance because typically your opponents are going to know because most tournaments tend to be open team sheet. So, yeah. But besides that, the pace will be down below, so make sure to check that out. And if you guys would like access to not just this team, but a bunch of other teams, make sure to check out the Patreon where I do both BDSP VGC stuff, or doubles, and also talking about Battle Tower stuff. So make sure to check that out, guys. Thank you so much for the support on all the videos, and I will see you guys on the next video. All right, peace.